Hey everybody, it's Colton Stombaugh again with the Inspire podcast. We're providing fearless B2B insights 1 week at a time. Today I'm with three gentlemen who are part of our exhibit logistics group who, due to the recent COVID crisis, have made a quick and dramatic pivot in their business to help supply PPE to the greater business community. So with no further introduction, we've got DeanHouston. Why don't you give us a quick introduction?
My name is DeanHouston. I'm Business Development Director at Exhibit Logistics, and happy to be here.
All right. We've got Andy Dean. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm the Vice President and General Manager of Exhibit Logistics by DeanHouston, Inc.
And last but certainly not least, Dale Dean. How you doing?
Hey, good, Colton. Hey, I'm Dale Dean. I'm the CEO and the founder of DeanHouston and of our division, Exhibit Logistics. And love doing these things with you, Colton. So let's rock and roll, man. Let's be done.
Highly appreciate it. So I teased a little bit of the story that we'll unpack here. But obviously Exhibit Logistics, you guys specialize in trade shows, right? Have there been any recent changes in your operations due to global events?
Mm-hmm. Well, Andy, you want to take that one because that's a heck of a good way to lead in there, Colton. Yeah, the trade show business, as you know, has been was one of the first companies or first businesses, industries that was hit by this COVID-19 thing. So, Andy, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I ramped up a little faster than what we thought. Going from postponed to canceled to rescheduled a year later. We've definitely had some new changes and some new challenges in being a sustainable business, and not only that, but coming up with creative solutions to keep us moving forward.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Colton, it was quite devastating. It was interesting because, I'm going to say this was probably at the end of February. We had a huge trade show out in Las Vegas. And Tyler, I don't know, did we have other shows up through March? I mean, we had one scheduled that we were doing for a client. Now, we had lots of little shows going on, but major shows. We had one schedule was going to be in the middle of March. We had everything ready to go. Everything's on the dock. These guys were ready to rock and roll. I think some guys were off at some trade shows, setting up trade shows in March, weren't they, Ty? I mean,
we had a couple of shows in March, but for the most part, I think March 15th. That's pretty much
that was the cutoff date, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. That's when trade shows started to decline, and I mean, it came fast. It was like getting hit in the mouth with a baseball bat. So it was really, really fast.
Yeah, it really is. And so we as we've got that huge facility out there. We're a total turnkey solution, in our exhibit group, and so we've got this entire facility. We've got a whole staff of people, that are all working around trade shows. And one day everybody's rocking and rolling. This is a really busy trade show season time for us. And then all of a sudden it just came to a screeching halt, man, in one brief moment, and that was quite a wake-up call as we were trying to figure out, like, where the heck is this going? Now, at first, I will say this, a lot of the effort was they're canceling, they're reorienting. So here's we are. We're trying to adjust to this for our clients because they're contacting us, like, what's going on? What are we going to do? And, so we're adjusting. We're talking to all the trades. So we were busy as heck just trying to adapt to this, and So that was like kind of the first thing, and when this first happened. So you get through that first couple of weeks of just trying to readjust, for the clients, because at the end of the day, Colton, we're still taking care of every one of those clients, and these are things we had to take care of, So and I mean, what was that? I'll throw us back to Andy and Tyler, like, in the shop, I wasn't out there, I mean, like, what was going on? Like, what were the activities you guys were doing, scrambling around there at the end?
Go ahead, Andy. I'll let you answer that one.
Well, I think the greatest activity was trying to figure out what we were going to do with the volumes of freight that were piling up and staging. The advanced warehouses and direct to shows weren't going to take. So for us, it became a production issue. And then, as these things started repurposing, it was the open communication with the customers on, what do we do now? That these things aren't going to happen. So
you guys are flying around around, I mean, Tyler, I really liked your analogy, like getting hit in the jaw with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
As somebody who has had that happen to him, that's not pleasant. It was completely innocent. It was actually playing baseball, I promise. No weirdness.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that. Okay.
Obviously, you're running around. It's clear that your first thought is, how do we take care of our customers? That came through apparently.
Yeah.
But how does this idea then of starting to produce PPE? I mean, you guys are experts in custom fabrication, and you're really good at building stuff and manufacturing things. But correct me if I'm wrong. Face masks and face shields were not in the months ago. So how do we get from trade shows being canceled, intense focus on the customer, to now starting this PPE production?
Well, I got to throw that over to Tyler to start off with, because, again, we're all scrambling around. And then, one night, I got a text message or a call from Tyler, and he had this idea, like, hey, let's sew masks, And so, Tyler, I don't know, man, like what were you thinking when that came? We have a lot of sewing machines because, we have these giant printers, and we're printing hanging signs and graphics, and we have to seam all these together. So we have the sewing machine. So I don't know, Tyler, I don't know where you came up with it, but he's the one who prompted it, at that point.
So, yeah, I was watching the news, and you remember Carrickendale, where we had dinner at the first night of training. So they switched all of their brewery capacity, like all their equipment and everything, to brew hand sanitizer. And I got to thinking, I said, well, we got to look around in our warehouse, and what could we provide to help out with the fight against COVID? And I said, all right, well, we've got a printer, we've got the resources to get this cotton and to make it custom. And that's basically how I came up with the initial idea. And then the face shields, same deal. We've got all this material, we've got an outlet to get the actual face shields. Why not make some of these, help people with COVID, fight it, and also help us, keep working,
Yeah. And to add to that, Colton, I will say, so this was the genesis of the idea. And these guys mobilized, immediately, man. They started ordering material. Andy, I'm not sure how that all got ramped up internally, but they started ordering materials and started, coming up with their plan, how they're going to do it. And just by coincidence, one of our biggest clients, Dover Corporation, we bought, they have a division that's a printing and identification division, and we bought one of their enormous wide format fabric printers so we could print these hanging signs. And we have a marketing meeting with them once a month, where we bring all the marketing directors from all these different operating companies that Dover owns together. And on that call, somebody, the VP of corporate marketing, he showed a picture of one of the printers that MS Printing, which is a Dover business, was using to print masks. And when we saw that, we recognized that, like, that's our printer. Only it was the printer that's half the size of ours. So when we saw that, we were like, hey, look, not only can we sew these masks and do this, but we can do custom branded masks. And so that brought in a whole new dimension to it, And so then, Andy, Tyler, tell me what happened next, because all I know is I got a hold of you guys and said, hey, look, these guys are using our printer, the Impress printer, to print masks. So what happened next internally there?
Yeah, Dale, if you don't mind me jumping in, I think you're getting onto something really interesting there. That custom branded, I know, there are a lot of organizations out there who are pivoting and mobilizing to do masks and, help protect their people, and as well as, the greater community.
Yeah.
But one of the things you don't see a lot of is that custom branded. And you're talking about this MS printer. Andy, I know you're really close to that. You mind getting into that technology a little bit? Because, to be able to print direct to a garment like that, that's something special. So.
Yeah, I can elaborate on that. So we have a MS 4320 grand format dye sublimation machine, which gives us the ability to print up to 126 inches wide by an undetermined length, really is whatever the materials we're going to run. In this process, what we're doing is we're going from a liquid to a solid, and then from a solid to a gas. And in that process, with the fibers and the materials, we're not actually laying ink on top of anything. We are actually dyeing the fibers in the woven materials, and it's never going to come out. It's 100% washable the minute it comes off the machine. So for us, to look at that technology and to look at what we were using it for in regards to the trade show world, we already had a supply chain for the textiles and the other materials that we needed, like elastics and Velcros and the plastics, the PPE plastics and Centras and things that Tyler's working on with other things. So for us, it was just identifying those materials and beginning to source them, which we already had supply chain to, and getting them in-house. And then, these guys started with several templates that the CDC was putting out, and what the regulations were for what they were saying was acceptable for the general public versus the medical field. And we can only sew so many things. So then we started recruiting individuals that we had personal relationships with, who were able to get us over the prototype stage as fast as we could, to see which ones were most efficient and which ones were not going to work at all, to get us started. And then beyond that, we've been looking at how to scale this into industrial manufacturing, so that we can provide large quantities to masses who would need them, regardless of what their market is.
You kind of think about that and like just the entrepreneurial spirit there, and thinking about all the assets you have. I mean, Tyler, that's something that you were talking about, is really reverse engineering that brewery's process, and thinking about all the things that you guys have access to that are special to kind of create this product. Tyler, I know you were pretty close to kind of the ideation. So when we think about the mask specifically, what are the different things that, people will be able to see and experience with these masks? What does the design look like? What are some of the features?
Well, it's 100% polyester on the outside, totally customizable with your logo on it, or actually whatever you want. It's got a pocket on the inside where the elastic is, so you can put whatever filter you want in it. It's machine washable. It's 100% made in America, and it's actually extremely comfortable. I've been wearing mine for 2 weeks now, washing it every day, and it's held up. It's right here, so it's all good.
And and that rewashable too, like thinking about how sustainable that is. You don't have to work through a bunch of disposables, but also it's good for the environment. It's going to help protect people. I mean, that's a true win-win-win story for everybody. I know you had mentioned that custom branding, and Dale, you had just talked about some of DeanHouston, and we serve a lot of major leading manufacturers, and talking about the connection there. How that custom branded element, why is that so important for companies?
Well, where that idea came up from on the custom branding was that, we started talking to our clients and just letting them know that we were doing this. And just, again, as a creative agency ourselves, we started making some samples to show them. Well, naturally, we say, it's like, hey, when you do that, print their logo on that. So it developed into that. Then some of our creative people, they started coming up with other designs besides just logos and stuff. Like, for instance, kids aren't going to want to wear the company logo of their parents, that the company they work with. Companies are going to buy these so that it helps their own employees know that the company is donating these to them. It makes them feel comfortable and confident in their company, that they're taking care of their employees. But the employees then, they need this for their families. Now they can use these masks. So the designers, our creative people, started coming up with other ideas like robots and cupcakes and dinosaurs and all kinds of other like really cool designs. And at that point, then it just keeps blossoming into everything, because we can literally print anything on these, any design whatsoever. So that was kind of the genesis of the branding, was so that companies they're all seeking out ways that they can take care of the health and safety of their own employees first, and so that's where the idea originally was spawned.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that element of kind of having, the cartoon designs or kid-friendly designs. I mean, I've got a little one myself, and can't imagine him wearing something that was stodgy. You got to make it fun.
Yeah, definitely.
It's incredible that through this, organically, you've created the business mask, but then also an avenue to kind of get families and youth covered at the same time. That's an incredible way to mobilize there. Speaking of, being even more agile, I know we're also doing face shields, right? So that's another part of PPE that we pivoted to. I mean, I don't know which you gentlemen wants to cover that, but mind telling us a bit about those?
That was definitely Tyler's idea again. I think this guy's got like this entrepreneurial inventor's brain or something, because it's just so funny because you think the mask thing was a great idea. And then he comes back with like, hey, let's make these these face shields too. It's like, I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, man. My first thought, Tyler, when you presented that or whoever called me and told me about it, I was thinking like, how in the world are we going to make face shields? And then within like 2 hours, they sent me a picture of one. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're already making these things, and they're awesome, man. They look great, And so yeah, why don't you tell us about that, Tyler? I'd love to know that story more.
Oh man, well, we had a face mask call every day, and I was thinking, what else could we produce to help out with the fight and to keep people busy, and what do we have at our hands to help, and we have thin gauge plastic that we usually print on for trade shows. We have Velcro, we have pop rivets, and we have double-sided tape. So that's basically the mask. We ordered some thin gauge FDA approved face shields from a vendor, and basically that's all it is, with some thin half inch foam in between the mask and the forehead. So, and yeah, those we just sold 200 of those to a client. So those are doing well too. Yeah.
Yeah, those are great. Now the interesting thing, Colton, that you have to understand is, Andy's kind of the operations guy. So Tyler comes up with these ideas, and then Andy's got to figure out how to mass produce them.
Yeah, my job's done. I'm like, all right, well, here's the idea.
Hey, I love it, man. I love it. These ideas, we're looking at it and we're saying like, here we are, we're dead in the water, man. I mean, it's like, what do we do? So we came up with a number of ideas. Like, one of our first ideas was to create virtual trade shows. So that was one of the things we did first, and because our team could still set up, an entire trade show in our space. We got a 50,000 square foot facility there, and we have a place where we set up trade shows so our clients can come in and walk through them prior to sending them to the actual show. So that was one of our ideas. And then the mask idea, then taking, kind of looking at it, being bold and being creative. And what we said, and I hear you even said it here at the beginning, is, one of our ideas is be eternally confident, totally fearless. And we emphasize that to all of our employees at DeanHouston as well as at Exhibit Logistics. So the idea is that, what, if you can think it, we can do it. And this is part of our culture, and so people are coming up with these great ideas. And guess what? When you hear people say like, there are no bad ideas, there's no dumb ideas, we believe it. We actually live it, And so when these ideas come up, we pursue them, and to Andy's credit, I mean, with his organization, he's saying like, yeah, let's do this thing. Let's see where this goes, man. And here are several really great ideas that says like, are we really dead in the water? Or are we just not looking at this from the right perspective? And these ideas that Tyler came up with the ones that Andy came up with, the whole idea of putting this all together now, this machine is running, man, and all of our people out there they're really, really busy. And the nice thing about it is like we're keeping every single person employed, and that's a great thing, right now. And we're helping people out, as Tyler keeps saying too, and we're helping people out in the cause, So anyway, that's for me. That's what gets, as you can tell, that's what gets me super excited.
Absolutely, and I think Tyler summed it up. I captured this because I always do this. You know this already, Dale. I'm always thinking about what we're going to title this thing as we go.
Yeah.
And, some real words of wisdom here. First thing you thought, Tyler, what do we have in our hands to help? And that's an incredible statement, and I think that's something that one of the questions I was going to ask is, what advice do you have for organizations that maybe now are facing a pivot or might have to in the future? And I think those simple words and what you expressed there, Dale, it's a big part of it. Talking about, helping people, I know part of, this PPE push is also giving back to the community. And I know that that's still a program and the specific details are in progress, but you guys have any notes or current status of how we're giving back as we're producing PPE?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can tell you, right now, one of the ideas, when we first started this thing, we were going to, we were hoping that we could just, keep our people busy making masks, donating these masks, and this is when we first came up with the idea. And then, with the business completely drying up, it's like, well, you got to have the financial means to be able to do that, So, money doesn't grow on trees and it just doesn't fall out of the air. So we looked at it and said, for us to go out, and when Andy first started sourcing, getting all the material to make this and having it freighted in and shipped into us, it became very, very expensive and costly. So we said, okay, well, how can we still do this? Because it's still important to us that we want to make sure we give back. So we started reaching out to our clients and saying, hey, look, for the common cause, for the common good, we're going to invest in getting the material and getting this machine running, get it converted over. It's going to cost an investment for us to do this. Right now, everybody's in this liquidity preservation kind of mode, and for the right reasons. And so, we're looking at that and we're talking to our clients saying, look, here's what we'll do. For every so many masks that you buy, we're going to donate, masks, to a certain percentage to the, and I think we came up with, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, you guys are out doing it. So for every 10 masks we sell, we're donating one to a social cause, whether that's to first responders, whether that's to families, whether that's to underprivileged, households, whatever it is. We're asking the client to tell us, where do you want the donation to go? We'll do that in your name, on your behalf, and we're going to donate these masks to a good cause. So Andy and Tyler, I'm not sure, that's still the program that we're on? I know we're donating masks. I just don't know if it's 1 to 10. Is that what it is right now?
Yeah, that's correct. You got it right. Yep.
Yeah, and so and we're also supporting some nonprofit organizations. We offered to provide masks for the Epilepsy Alliance of Ohio because they have caretakers, they have these group homes. They're having a hard time getting masks. We've also are offered and are going to provide masks for the World Affairs Council of Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. World Affairs Council is going to do this as a donation to other groups, and they're going to have groups of people come in and help sew the masks on their behalf, So it's going to be, it's kind of a pay it forward, kind of an exponential, type of an effect right now, Colton.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an incredible story, just, how everything was mobilized and the fact that it's helping us protect jobs and protect our communities. I mean, this is one of the most, obviously there's a lot of difficult things happening right now, but these are the types of stories that are, incredibly inspiring and also prove that, even when times are dark, if we come together, that we can find bright spots. And, I'd like to thank every single one of you guys for being instrumental into helping us shift. Well, we've always been an organization like this, but really amplify that here over the past.
If I can add to that, one thing is that I feel very grateful that we're in a position, and again, I marvel at how these things happen. It's like, when we this investment in this printing equipment is a big investment. These are big industrial size printers, and they're very, very expensive. And when we invested in this, you're thinking to yourself at the time, like, wow, I hope we're going to be able to make the payments on this thing. We have to take out these huge loans and all this kind of stuff. And you're thinking about that at the time when you're doing regular commerce. It's funny how your mindset shifts when it comes into, hey, how can we mobilize to help other people? And it starts with first having people that think that way, just like Tyler and Andy, their mindset was like, how can we help people rather than thinking about their own welfare? And then we just happen to be fortunate enough to have this equipment there. And it's like these things take care of themselves, whenever you have that kind of mindset, you think that way, And so I just feel very grateful that we're in a position to be able to make this difference, So yeah, that's kind of where my mind is on this whole thing. It still marvels me.
If I'm a business and I'm looking to figure out how I can get it involved with this, or maybe I'm even an individual looking for masks for my family, where should I go to start finding some of this information? Is there a website or something like that right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And we just launched a website called businessmasks.com, and that's business and then masks plural.com. And on that landing page, it'll give you the information. It'll also give you kind of a contact information form. And when you submit that and send that in, hey, here's what I'm looking for. This is what I want. Tyler will contact you right away. He's extremely responsive, and he'll then work with you to understand what your needs are, and we'll get that thing rolling. And Tyler, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you nailed it. I'm extremely responsive. 15 minutes, I'll get back to you, I promise. But yeah, thanks, Dale.
Yeah, fantastic, man. And then Colton, then it gets thrown over to Andy. He's got to figure out how to make it happen.
That's right. I got the easy job,
We got the good job, man. So
with that note, Andy, since you're the last guy in the process, we'll give you the opportunity here. You got any last words for the audience before we sign off?
No, I think it's a great thing that's happening, and through this time of trouble, it's also the opportunity for us to look and see what we're capable of outside of our everyday engagements in business and personal. So, who knows what the future will hold for us, after going down this path, but it's definitely going to open a lot more doors for us in regards to how we think about the equipment and what we have in house.
So proud of these guys. But, they'll tell you there are so many people behind the scenes that are working around the clock, that are working super hard to make this happen. We've got we have an incredible team. And I mean, when it comes down to it, these guys, they're going in every day. They're probably working harder than they ever did. And I thought the trade show business was a very demanding business, but doing this is super demanding. They've got to get innovative. They got to get creative and think about how to make these things happen. They got to do it now. And every one of these guys, and Tyler and Andy will tell you that the team that's behind the scenes, that's not on this show with you right now, they deserve so much credit for everything that they've done for us, and for the people that they're helping. And so let's recognize that it's a huge team as well, So across our whole enterprise, this also engaged all of our designers. We have like 15 designers in our company, across our Cincinnati, our Chicago, our LA office, Nashville. All those people have come together for a common cause, for a common purpose. It's one team, one mission, everybody going after this thing. And so, as I keep thinking about it, it's like this. It's a whole company-wide effort right now, and there's so many people involved. It's just great to see.
Man, well, I don't know what else I can say to close it. But no, again, I appreciate you guys, and yeah, the whole greater team too. It's been inspiring to watch. I've been, lucky enough to be a little bit of a part of it in this conversation. And, I really look forward to seeing how that goes. And again, to the audience out there, thanks for listening to the third episode of Inspire. If you've been inspired and, want to figure out how maybe you can source or, participate in this mask initiative, that's businessmask.com. And we look forward to talking to y'all again soon.
Great. Thanks, guys.
See you later. Thank you.